Today, how to make a thumbnail tutorial for YouTube with Paint.net. Stay tuned. First, what we want to do is research different titles. I've already done that, and that is how we came up with how to make a thumbnail tutorial for YouTube with Paint.net. It has high search volume, competition's good, and the overall excellent. Look at the thumbnails that have been successful. This one, 2,700 views. 1 year ago, how to make a thumbnail. Notice that they did kind of, and this is the hover over thumbnails, unfortunately. They both have this little picture here. And we get to this one. More. This one right here, just to let you know, there's no way in the world this thumbnail right here was done with Paint.net. This arrow, impossible. The font, yes, could have been done. And this crinkle paper in the back is a copy photo from somewhere else. Now this one, obviously, this one definitely was done with Paint.net. We're going to see if we can do a little copy on this, sort of. I'm going to use a couple of programs and Paint.net in doing this. If you haven't gotten Paint.net, here's where you go to get it. It's getpaint.net. Right here, this is where you download it from. This is a thumbnail that I did using Paint.net. Notice it's multiple layers, and each one of the layers I've labeled. I went back in and did it afterwards. I tell people that you should label. A lot of times you're in a rush. This was done in maybe about 5-10 minutes. For today's video, let's 1920 by 1080 pixels is what you want to start with. YouTube says that you should use 1280 by 720. However, many of the larger YouTubers are using 1920 by 1080. You might run into a problem with saving the thumbnail if you go over 2 megabytes. Go to save it in PNG format. Now when it goes to PNG format, it'll collapse all of the layers. But the problem here is, you see how it says preview size 2.3 megabytes. One way around that is to see what the size will be after going to 24-bit. Now I'm at 2 megabytes. That usually is not a good way to go because that might not be a true 2 megabyte. Another option is to change the size down to 1280 and then try it that way. Let's do that. Image, resize. Now just hit maintain aspect ratio because this is the same aspect ratio YouTube uses. Now we're at 1280 by 720. Let's try this again. Save as, PNG. I'm showing you all the different little ways to get around it. And we haven't even gotten into Paint.net yet. No, we're going to change the name, right? Yes. This is the second one, and we'll call it 1280. See how now it's 1.3 megabytes and 32-bit. It'll just be a hair smaller. This is the other thumbnail, and we'll use that as a base. Then what we're going to do is add a couple layers over top of it. Controls. We open a frame. Always good to keep your template files, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Also, notice that I changed the icon for the folder there. That way I can find it easier. Into stock footage, then frames, because I need to have the thumbnail frame from thumbnail hacks, which is right there, frame, PNG. So we open that up and we just copy it, copy, come over to here, file, paste, paste in a new layer, edit, paste in a new layer, which is Control-Shift-V, or you can do it with the mouse like I just did now. And I also need my thumbnail hacks badge. File, open, stock footage, branding, hacks, PNG, right there. Copy, paste in a new layer. But Bill, you didn't label those. We will. Paste in a new layer. They used two different font colors there, and a swipe with the gradient change there. Let's give it a try. First we have to unselect this right here. If I just left that there, everywhere would be just the only spot that would be acted on is just that spot that's been selected. So you always want to unselect. We're going to copy this right out way, but with a different theme. I think it was this picture here with the brush that was getting attention. Go down to this layer. We'll go make great. And we copy it. Control A, C, down here. I'm going to use Futura Gold, Futura Extra Bold, which is what I usually use on thumbnails. Let's use yellow. And give it a little tilt, but first we have to go like this, select, tilt a little bit, there. One way to make it bigger is just yank on the corners here. Bring it back down. Reselect it, go like this. Paste it back in. Give it a little bit more stretch. Stretch. Magic brush. Now we're going to do the pulling. That's about as good as we're going to get, but I don't like it. We'll just go back to that one. Done with Make Great. Thumbnails, we'll do those next. Copy that. Now if I was to paste that right now, it wouldn't go anywhere except for where this is selected. So you have to unselect first, Control V for paste. We have thumbnails. We're going to do this a little faster way. Copy it. This way I'm closer to the text so I can stretch it easier. That looks good. Switch colors to blue. Now we hold the Control key down while we select with the magic brush. Well, the magic wand, excuse me. Try that again. More than one way to skin a cat here. Everybody does it different, and I'm trying to do it while teaching you how to do it too. Now this thing's getting a little... Let's get an arrow that looks something like this. I know a program that'll do that. Paint.net, this is the arrow that you get with Paint.net. We'll call this layer arrow. Here's the arrows. We got a choice between this arrow, and this arrow. There isn't a way in the world that I can get this arrow here. Well, there probably is. As soon as you say you can't do something with something, somebody will show you how you can. We are going to pick red. And there is an arrow. One of the things you cannot do with this arrow is there's no way to bend it. Or I could get a picture of an arrow, which is an option. I have another option that I'm going to show you. This up here in the little corner here is my fast tone capture, which also, if it will make pictures if you need to. It has a very nice drawing program, very elementary, but they have the best arrow I've ever seen. Arrows. 1, 2. We want to make it fatter. There's the ends. This is fast tone capture. It cost a whopping $19. We're working on this one here. That's about right. Back to here. That's about right. Maybe make this head a little bit smaller, because if I do that, then I can make the whole thing wider. That's what we're going to use right there. We want the picture to be smaller. Go like this. X. I like using as much of my own products as possible. Now we're back into Paint.net. We're going to delete the background there. And we're going to copy that. We took out all the white by using the magic arrow. We just selected everything and copied it, and if we're correct, we're back on arrow. Although first what we need to do, we'll put it up here and then delete this arrow. Well, up there is good enough too. Now the reason why it's not standing out is because it's way down. Below the... Alright, now time for this arrow to go away. And let's get this arrow to move and get bigger. That's where we can put. If you have any questions on this or using Paint.net, I also have highlighted several other YouTubers on this channel that do tutorials in Paint.net. It's a relatively easy program to use. The one thing that Paint.net will not do is Photoshop. There's another program out there called Photopea, and that is about the best program I've seen for doing Photoshop if you want to do that. That's a more complex editor, more bells and whistles, and more heartache too. But they're all fun. I love making thumbnails. I have some ideas on how to get this one and this one, but not do a straight copy. I like Make Great Thumbnails over here. We're not going to copy because I have my pride. Make Great is still in there. I don't believe in getting rid of something until I'm done. But so I'll just move it below my background layer. That's something that I do a lot because that way I can move things up and take a look at them. Now make easy. Here's the layer. We're going to make it, and we're going to make it easy. We go to Futura Bold 144. Let's make it yellow. Put that back on so you can see it better. Make easy. We're also planning on making the changes easier too. Up, a little bit beefier. Maybe a little bit more beefier. Make easy. We're going to make a duplicate of this and quit playing around. Now we have two layers make easy. We're going to go on the top layer here. We have to do a select of all this, otherwise it'll all turn. Go back to here, and we're still on the top layer. Good. We're still going to come up. All right, we got dark, but this one we wanted to have this color instead. Now we have make easy. There we go. Looks good. We did the arrow. Now what are we forgetting? Oh, this picture over here. I've hunted down a paintbrush out of my stock footage. It's right here. And a picture that I took back at Picket Post. We're going to do some things to that to make it more presentable. Plus, I took just a little rough thing to approximate this right here. Take this. We make it more square, which is about 1,000. And the funny thing is, even it looks taller, but it actually is wider. Copy it. We come over here, and we're going to paste this into a new layer. And the reason why you paste into a new layer is so that if you make a mistake, it's on a different layer. Don't expand the canvas. Keep the canvas size. Problem here we can fix by making the whole picture go smaller. We'll make it go bigger now so you can see it easier. We'll get it right there so it looks like a picture. Now it's looking a lot like a picture. Resize, crop to selection. There we go. Here's our brush. I'll show you some magic with this brush and a tool. The rotate and zoom. This is becoming one of my favorite things. I don't quite like the way this is presenting. So if I give it a little bit of a change there, what I can do now is go OK. Come back in here and do our little trick with copy and paste. Copy, come over to our photograph and paste in a new layer again. Edit, paste in a new layer. If you added a layer and then pasted, it would be actually we have to make it small again. Not bad. Bring this off a little bit. There's our picture. Two ways to capture it. We're just going to save it as a PNG. There's my graphics, and we're going to call this picture. Save it, flatten. From here, we can just select all and copy here, which is our picture, and we go paste in a new layer, edit, paste in a new layer. Let's drag that. Oh, that's looking good. We'll tilt it a little bit. Make it bigger. Give it a little bit of a border. This effect here is Object Drop Shadow. This is a Vander Motten plugin. Highly recommend it for working with Paint.net. It just makes things so much easier. It's hard to tell that that's a picture right now. When we put the drop shadow in and we just do a universal drop shadow, wow, now it looks like a picture. We'll put it behind our thumbnail. Whoops, done. You have to say okay, otherwise it'll ding you. On the lettering, I'm not super happy with the lettering yet. I want to put a drop shadow on there as well. The color that is opposite of yellow is blue, so let's get a little bit more bluish. That doesn't look too awful bad. Another thing you can, if you wanted, you could make it more opaque. We'll give it a little bit of opacity, we'll leave it there, done. With thumbnails, we will do a little bit different. We'll probably do well, if we go in, if I go Control F, it'll just repeat that, but I don't want to do Control F. I want to do a different color, which would be a yellowish color and a little darker, seeing as the blue is kind of a little lightish. Give it a little bit more accent there. Take this, select it, copy it, and put it into a layer in the background. Add new layer. Seeing as we have the layer there, we might as well paste into it. Bring that all the way down so that it's right before the background. Too much opacity in this one thumbnail right here. We'll see about getting a little bit more to it. Also, maybe we'll move the hacks over to this side, brand stamp. One thing at a time. We'll fix the drop shadow first, which is this one. And if we do a drop shadow on the lower one, it'll probably make it a little brighter. And that almost, yeah, actually that did fix it. You can't see through it as easily. One last thing, and we'll probably be mostly done except for this hacks, which needs to be moved. And you just make it just so that it's just blurry enough to not be recognizable. Now, one step further, because I think that black and white would be better. It makes everything else pop more. The hacks, I think I'm on the right layer. I was. Yay. Come over here, make it a little smaller. Also, opacity. Here we're at 255. Drop down to 135. That looks good. When you unselect, this will change just a little bit on the hacks. Watch. It lightened up. Now, lastly, we do a squint test. Can we still read it? Not as easy as we would like. Make easy, but thumbnails doesn't come all the way down. What can we do to make thumbnails stand out a little bit more? This is going to be tough because thumbnails, all right, call in our magic wand. Hold the control key down. We have selected it. Now I'm copying it and I'm pasting it into a new layer. That'll make it stand out a little bit more. And we're going to deselect it because it's in a new layer. And we're going to put one little bit of a drop shadow. Now that's kind of interesting. Let's give it a little bit more of a widening radius so that it covers more of that black. Thumbnails. What do you all think? Or should we give it a little bit more yellowish? Now, will it pass the squint test? That's the big one. Will thumbnails be easier to read? Minus, 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 minus. Yes, I can still read it. Let me bring it out so you can see it. We didn't copy it totally, and it's all original. YouTube does not read paint.net. we need to change it into file, save as a PNG file. This is the moment of truth. We find out, will it do a PNG for the size that we want? Yes, it will. 990 kilobytes, just under 1 meg. Flatten. Done. Yay! Thank you for watching. I love making thumbnails. Have a great day. Love you all. Bye-bye.